Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host on today's episode. And today we have Brandon Wilhelm, president of Hangry Development Texas and franchise owner, with us on the show. We're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, and some best practices and even some challenges he's faced along the way to give you that inside look to what it's like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, Brandon. It's so great to meet you.
Thanks, Kay. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's dive in. I am so excited because we're talking all about Hangry. So I'm very curious to dive into what this business looks like. So tell me a little bit. Let's start off. Let's learn about you.
Sure. Well, I've been in franchising and in restaurants for, I guess, almost 19 years now, if you look at it one way, or more like 37 years if you look at it another way. So my dad was a franchisee for Subway way back in the 80s, and so restaurants have been part of my, I guess, part of my growing up and part of my blood ever since I was 7 or 8 years old, working in the back of a, Subway restaurant, stealing some cookies every once in a while, but that sort of thing. Trying to help clean up and stuff like that. So really saw how he, risked everything to get that business going. And he ended up becoming a successful developer for Subway in the Midwest. And I ended up going to college in Texas, worked down there for a while as a contract negotiator with Lockheed Martin on the F-22 fighter jet program in Fort Worth. And then in 2006, Dad was looking to slow down a little bit, and he wanted someone that he could, trust to help run the business. And so I had just finished my MBA at SMU and was looking at some different opportunities, and took a long while to decide if I wanted to go work with family business and if, and that sort of thing. So I ended up coming back and helping run that business, and was a uh, Subway development agent for, I guess, 18 years, oversaw about 500 locations across the Midwest, and was a franchisee for Subway as well, running restaurants, overseeing the operations, helping my franchisees try to be as profitable as possible, that sort of thing. And then I guess over the past couple of years, starting in 2019, Subway decided to start going away a little bit from that development agent model. And so negotiated contract buyouts with a lot of those developers. And during that time, Hangry Joe's and a couple other brands actually approached me as well, to possibly become a developer for them as they were growing and that sort of thing in different parts of the country. And I really wasn't sure I wanted to get back, continue with restaurants, even though it's been in my blood for so long. Um, but they said, Hangry Joe said, come on out and try the food, tour a couple restaurants, come to Virginia, and if you don't like it, then if you don't believe in the food, then we'll buy your plane ticket home. So I went out there and secret shopped a few restaurants before I flew in a day early before the official tour, and went to a couple of restaurants on my own. And I was like, this has got to be one of the best chicken sandwiches, if not the best chicken sandwich I've ever had. I was just blown away by the flavors. And so I was like, okay, you guys really have something here. And we toured some restaurants. I could see, some of the great things about the restaurants, possibly some of the weaknesses in the strategy. And I was like, okay, I would love to join up with you guys, but if I'm going to be a part of the team, I want to see the table to help shape the brand. And a couple of other guys from my previous brand had also joined this company and joined the board. Said we can really, since you've got the best food, we can really help you grow. So signed on with Hangry Joe's about a year ago. The company has come a really long way in just the past year. We've made some big strides as far as store design, decor, development strategy, that sort of thing. So now I am the area developer for about three-quarters of Texas. I've got one restaurant that I own and operate in San Marcos, right by Texas State University. We are under construction for a second one in Kyle, just south of Austin, which will be opening in April. And one thing we haven't touched is the food. The food and the flavors are amazing. So we as we're shaping the brand in some other ways with marketing strategies and design elements and that sort of thing, we're not touching those recipes. The recipes are pretty amazing. So we're hoping to grow quite a bit. I'm hoping to own four or five, maybe six restaurants myself, somewhere between Austin and San Antonio in that area. And through my development company, looking to work with franchisees to develop the rest of the state. Similar to what I did with my previous brand. I had great franchisees. I had great relationships with over 100 different franchisees, probably close to 140, and hoping to duplicate that same success with Hangry Joe's.
Oh, definitely. Well, you have my mouth watering because I love a good chicken sandwich. I'm gonna have to definitely come on out and have one. Well, thank you so much for sharing that introduction and a bit of your journey and stepping into that path. Looking at, you mentioned one thing that I really want to dive into is the marketing, and that's something that you're working on within the company. And that is something that I think is it's such a vast topic, and I'd love to hear where you're finding success with marketing, especially for a restaurant chain. So, what are some of your pursuits with marketing that you've seen success in or that you're venturing down?
Well, it has changed a lot over the past 18, 20 years as far as strategy with restaurant marketing. I mean, when I was you know, working with in my previous position, everything was just pretty traditional radio, traditional TV spots, that sort of thing. Running deals, trying to compete on the discount level, that sort of thing was a big part of what we did. Now it's really interesting. And with a growing brand, we've gone from 20 locations to over 100 in a year and a half. So it's growing very, very quickly. But we are returning a lot of that the marketing dollars back to the local franchisees to use for more hyper local in growing markets. And so really focusing on being part of that community and building the brand awareness in those communities where they may not know who or what Hangry Joe's is all about. Um, we're we're using influencers a lot more than because social media seems to be much bigger thing that hardly existed back in the early 2000s when I was first started working with restaurants full time. But now, everybody's got that media device in their hand all the time. It's whether it's TikTok or Instagram or whatever, people are constantly scrolling. It drives me nuts a little bit some days, but that's a lot of where we're at. And what we're really trying to do is focus on quality, getting honest reactions from customers. We call it first bites, and getting a lot of those videos and takes, getting you know incredibly tight food shots to just show how the quality of the food is. Obviously, you still have to run some deals, but we're doing way more with digital marketing. Things through our app and our rewards programs is a big deal. Those kind of push notifications that say, "Hey, you haven't seen us in a couple weeks. Come back in and get a free side with your purchase or whatever." Things like that. But building, trying to get that loyalty and in those repeat visits, I think is really, really, really important. It doesn't seem to be so much of the days of heavy discounting in restaurants. It's just not sustainable all the time. Yeah, you can throw some deals here and there, which are good to get trial and to get people to come in that haven't been there before. Um, but it's crazy how it's shifted a lot towards the digital side these days.
Mm.
I'd say that's digital and social media is where we're focusing most of our efforts right now, for sure.
Oh, definitely. I like that when you talked about the first bites. I think that's a really great way to showcase like a person, a regular customer just having that first bite. That's super cool. Um, and what are some of the challenges you've maybe faced as you're seeing this shift into more the digital space, as a franchise owner and as a person in the company as well?
Well, for us right now, it's mostly about brand recognition. If the biggest challenges right now are going into a brand new market where people don't necessarily know who you are, and so how do you get them to know who you are, look forward to who you are before you even open? Obviously, out in Virginia, we've got great brand recognition because that's where the heaviest cluster of stores are. Um, and so people know what to expect. Um, and so one way that we do things is when we get into a new location, months before we open, we have a program called Join the Flock, and we do a significant amount of digital ads, Google My Business stuff, all those sort of things, and try to get people to we call join the flock to get our app, but also our messaging, so that they know when we're opening. We have a countdown timer and all that kind of stuff. And so in our most successful stores, as far as launching and grand opening, we've been able to get several thousand people on those message platforms 30, 60, 90 days before we even open. And then after that, we kind of have to do it strategically before we open to get involved with the local community even before we open. Let them know what we're about. Um, Personally, I'm big into sports and athletics as far as high school teams, college teams, that kind of stuff. In San Marcos, we are big time invested with Texas State University and with the San Marcos High School Rattlers. Just sponsoring things like the High School Athlete of the Week, where the kids get a free meal. They're highlighted, chosen by their coaches every week, that sort of thing. Um, and engaging with the right people on social media even before you're open. I'm not the biggest social media expert in the world, but we have to try to find out. um, I think getting involved with the schools or any popular local organization, whether it's charitable or Chamber of Commerce, anything like that, even before you get open, to let people know who you are. Obviously, once we get more uh, more locations open in a region, people will know more about what to expect. So um, for me, I'm thinking as far on the development side is like having a little bit of demand, built up around the Austin area before you jump right into downtown Austin, where you're um, up against all all these other, better known brands. I'd like to get some local brand history and loyalty. And we try to do as much of that as we can through our digital platforms. I'm not the expert. I know what I want to see, but I don't necessarily know that we've got people that are a lot better on how to execute that than me, for sure.
Thanks for opening up about that. Yes, I could see that being, especially as a newer franchise, or when you're looking to expand, that being a huge challenge. And I think there's some golden nuggets in what you said, especially, looking at the local markets and getting involved with the community, getting yourself out there before even opening and setting yourself up for success. So I really like that. And kind of looking at it must take a team, obviously, to make this happen. So tell me about your team. How many team members are you at? Let's say team members of your franchise you have currently, and maybe team members as at the company as well.
Sure. Well, in my restaurant operating company, we've got about 15 employees right now. We will obviously double that when we open up the second location. I've got a partner in San Marcos, David Thompson, who is my general manager, and we have, as part of the efforts that he's put into the store, he's been granted some shares in the restaurant as well. So I think it's really great to have the guy who's leading the day to day have a stake in the ownership of the restaurant operating company, and so that he gets rewarded based on, the performance of the company as a whole. So yeah, in a couple months, we'll probably be at about 30 employees. We've got our general manager and co-owner David, and then um, we have shift leads for each shift, whether it's front of the house, back of the house, that sort of thing. Um, we've got some really good fry cooks, and we've got some really friendly people. Smiling up front is really important. So we've been fortunate. We've had a lot of I guess loyalty from our employees as well in San Marcos. We have had very low turnover, which is kind of unheard of in the restaurant space. We've had several employees that have been with us since opening day in November of 2023 that are still with us. So and for kids between the ages of 18 and 25 or so, that's pretty good to get them to stick around. But we reward them for their performance and let them know how much we appreciate them, and they've been really loyal to us. Um, as On the franchisor side of things, we've got probably about we're still running a pretty lean staff right now. We probably have about 30 people on staff right now across the corporation um, that are some are involved in marketing, finance, legal, development, people that work with our different vendors and our food suppliers to negotiate prices, that sort of thing. Um, and then we've got some obviously operational trainers that help train in all the new stores and hold the hold the brand accountable, hold everybody accountable to the operations manual. As as the area developer of Texas right now, well, I don't have the Dallas Fort Worth area, but I've got basically the rest of Texas under my development territory. Right now, we're looking at 3 employees in that company. It's very small. It's me. I carry most of the workload, and I've got my office manager who I share with a couple other businesses, and I've got David, my GM, who helps me on some of the training and that sort of thing. Um, but right now we have 3 open locations in our franchise territory. 2 of them are in Houston, which I inherited when I took over, and we've got a third one in the Houston area opening next week, actually, right on University of Houston campus. So I'll be down there with David doing all the training and prep work to get that store open next week. But obviously, as we grow, I'll add more and more staff. Uh, but right now, when I'm working with a franchisee on a new location, I basically do everything with them directly from start to finish. And actually, there is no finish as long as they're a Hangry Joe's franchisee in my territory. I walk alongside them through their whole journey. So I help them with the site selection, restaurant design, equipment ordering, operations training, marketing strategies, all that kind of stuff. And we continue that throughout their whole journey as being a franchisee.
Mm. Wow, sounds like a great team. And, looking forward, looking at the holistic of when you started to what's going to be in the future, what currently would you say is, especially with all the moving parts, is the biggest challenge that you're faced with?
The biggest challenge right now, there's a couple of them, but getting high quality entrepreneurs who are willing to take the risk of opening a restaurant and in a new market. It's a scary thing. I've done it for a lot of years, so it's not as scary to me. But but you've got to believe in the product big time. And right now it's kind of tough. If people in Texas haven't had a chance to try our product, right now they would have to go to, in my area, basically, I would want them to go to San Marcos and try it, in our location first and see what it's all about. But it's with interest rates being high right now, people are holding on to cash. It's not as easy to get loans. Things are more expensive. It's significantly, it's probably about 40%, 30 to 40% more expensive to build out a restaurant of our size than it used to be just a few years ago.
Hmm.
And then, obviously if you're borrowing money at, you know, 7.5, 8.5, 9%, or SBA loans, which is probably closer to 10 to 11%, it's a tougher market right now to get capital in order to take that risk and be and invest in your own business. So um, finding the right people to grow a brand is one of the biggest challenges, and I'm particular about who I want to work with. I want people of high integrity who really believe in the brand and who are you know willing to willing to work and not just think that, okay, I bought a franchise, this runs itself. It doesn't work like that. Had a lot of success coaching franchisees in the past in order to grow that business and grow profitability. But getting the right people in the right places I think is probably the toughest challenge that I'm personally facing right now.
Mm. Yes, thank you for opening up about that. I could definitely understand why that is with a multitude of things going on in our world and in, just with that fear factor. So I really appreciate
Sure.
you opening up. And before we wrap up with our conversation, I'd like to go into our rapid fire Q&A, which is
All
where I
right.
ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind. So are you ready for some rapid fire?
We'll give it a shot.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
Surrounding yourself with good people. I think that's the most important. You got to learn from everybody, and and try to surround yourself with people that have the experience to help shape your decisions in the right way.
Definitely. And what is a piece of advice that you'd share with other business owners?
I would say control your controllables, and not and don't ever get into victim status. There are things that go wrong. There are people that make poor decisions. There are frustrating things with employees sometimes. But if you sit there and dwell, on why did this happen to me versus what can I do about it, I think that's one of the biggest problems. So, yeah, don't get caught up in any sort of victim status. Just see how we can how we can try to find solutions.
Definitely. And what is a piece of content you've taken in most recently? It could be a book, a podcast, anything that's inspired you.
A few different things. I do like Patrick Lencioni and The Ideal Team Player. That's a great book on just how people can work together, and get out of that selfish mode sometimes that people get caught up into. And I guess when I talk about the getting away from any victim mentality, the question behind the question by John Miller, I think, is a really good one. How to eliminate blame, victim thinking, and complaining. Those are two of the most recent ones that I think have been really solid advice for people.
Oh, those are great. I just wrote that down. So great. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight rapidly improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Um, if I could wave a magic wand, I would get you know, obviously several multi-unit investors who are passionate about food, believe in our food, and are willing to work at it to, say, hey, I'm going to open up 10 of these real quickly. And because that would elevate the whole brand to showcase our product in a wider area very quickly so that people would know more about it. That would be my ideal uh, magic wand. But if I got I'd rather have a genie. I got a couple, two or three different choices, So otherwise, then I would say, I want to snap my fingers and have put a Hangry Joe's Mega Sando in everybody's hands right at once, so they could taste our product and see how good it was.
Oh, that's a great one. Well, thank you for answering the rapid fires. Well, let's get people excited about your food. How can people get connected online?
Well, we have, well, obviously hangryjoes.com or hangryjoeschicken.com. They all work, I think. But hangryjoes.com can show you our locations that are available. My website is still a work in progress, but hangrydevtx.com, hangrydevtx.com, um, is my development website for people who are interested in possibly looking at our franchise. In the Austin area, obviously, can shoot down to San Marcos and try our food down there. I think you'll be blown away by our flavors there. Or Kyle will be opening in just a couple months. And we're probably about 60 to 70 days away from opening in Kyle, just down the road there. So that's what I would suggest. I've been working with franchisees and restaurant development for a really long time, and I'm working harder than I have in a long time, but it's been a lot of fun, and looking to hopefully grow this brand with some successful people who are just as excited about it as me.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that, Brandon. For our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
Most inspiring, I guess I've always just been inspired by entrepreneurs willing to take a risk. I worked in the corporate world for a long time, and it was fine, but I think a lot of times you can just kind of keep your head down, do your job average, slightly above average, and keep climbing that ladder. And that was not for me. I think that there's nothing more exciting and inspiring than seeing somebody in the restaurant business, seeing their face when they open their restaurant and see a line of customers that are happy, and they're excited about the food. And I see one of my franchisees really, enjoying, saying, "Wow, this is great seeing all these people really, enjoy what I'm offering." It's not just about food and customer service, but it's about hospitality and making sure that everybody feels welcome. So seeing somebody that's been nervous throughout this process and then cross that line to where running full speed ahead, and seeing that excitement on their face is really inspiring to me.
Well, that's inspiring to me as well as our listeners. Take a few times through on this episode because there were so many nuggets of inspiration. Again, thank you so much, Brandon. It's been a joy to talk to you.
Thanks, Kay. Really enjoyed it.